Campus Virus, a flagship current affairs program that gets to delve into the key issues that goes on in Nigeria. My name is Neymar Junazak, and once again, you are welcome to the program. Of course, as we know, each episode we get to have diverse seasoned journalists sit together on this table and have conversations on key issues that goes on in the country. Once again, as I said earlier, welcome to the program. So quickly before I introduce the guest I have with me in the studio, and before we get the discussion rolling, would love to take a look at this report. I introduce my guest and then the discussion begins. So we'll be right back. To have you back in the studio, so I have with me here. So Shegun Ario, he's the editor of Urban Express News. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, and I have Mr. Sunday Dibashi, editor National Daily Newspaper. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for the privilege of being.
All right. So we've seen or heard in the report, corruption has and is still, a very big issue in Nigeria. And then we got to see that on Monday, the EFCC, announced its largest asset recovery, and we're talking about over 150,500 square meters, and comprising of 753 units of duplexes and other apartments. Trust me, that is a whole lot.
It's massive.
It's massive, and we of course know that classification of assets acquired through illegal means, it's supposed to serve as a deterrent to stop corruption in Nigeria. But do we really see us getting to the end of this whole journey, if I'll put it that way? Yes, we can start with you, Mr. Sunday.
It's okay. Yeah. I think we've listing it.
First off, were you surprised when you heard of? Because that is a whole lot.
Yeah, it's massive. Yeah, it's massive. It's massive. when I read the news, I was like, they've sold the whole country. Where would he have acquired? Where would that place have acquired such wealth? Money. But I wasn't surprised because as the years intensified efforts, because some of the reports we have in recent time, I've been privileged to interact with even some of the ES officials and others. Now, most people who go into crime in Nigeria, because of the I call it reform in the banking system, not necessarily reform, but what the government has introduced over the years, BVN and other. So most people find it difficult to move money into banks. What most of them do is that when they get in such money through illegal means, they now convert it to acquisition of property. Somebody told me that even some people when they get it in cash, they could be driving around in their car with millions.
We've heard of instances where they hide it, or
they hide it in several places. So rather than going to deposit in banks, so if we got this kind of license, it's not surprising, that such a thing exists. But again, we've listened to the argument of EFCC. Why are you shielding the identity of the people involved? Because that is the main issue in what they have done. Are they compromising the case? If you know you have not concluded investigation to the point that you can review the identity, why are you not bringing the news to the public knowledge, the information to the public knowledge? So we are still very skeptical about what the EFCC is doing about this.
All right, let's bring the...
Thank you. I agree. What I was thinking while the editor was talking about, digesting those issues, is that I was thinking about why in this country, why is it that in this country that people get, amass high quantum of money of that magnitude? That is, that thing came to my mind that the system still has a problem. The system itself still has a problem, because why would somebody, why would it be that there's a lacuna, to that extent in that institution, allowing people to still amass that huge sum of money? So these are the issues that we are talking about, that, politicians don't think of, that we need them to think about that.
the institution must be strengthened against any incredibility of individuals who are willing to sabotage the country, to get them discouraged. So, but because of the fact that me and you know that when you find out about the person that is involved, it's either it is having lineage with politicians or is one of them. So that is why they are keeping them mute. But the fact of the matter is that Nigeria is what it is because of the crops of leaders it has, according to Chinua Achebe. I used to say that, and I am convinced with what the professor has said. In 1983, the trouble with Nigeria, in his book titled, he wrote it in 1983, but the same approach, the same meaning, the same thinking, the same ways our leaders have been, toying with this country has never changed for once. We thought that we have learned our lesson when the military came, bamboozled many of us, did a lot to us, thinking that once we come back, we are going to reshape things and things will be done in the interest of the people. Alas, it is in their interest now. You can see. How would how would you think I will have that kind of access, to government coffers of amassing? It can only be government coffers. But the question is, who is that individual? How is that individual being given that kind of opportunity to amass that kind of wealth? What is wrong with our institution? How is it being allowed to allow people in position of power, in position of government, in position of leadership to be able to amass that kind of wealth? That is massive. It's a country home that can accommodate higher quantum of population. 700.
It's a community. It's a host.
I'm a registered town planner. If I give you analysis of that house, the implication how that can turn anybody in decision making process in a community.
Yeah.
That person that built that, if allowed, becomes a major stakeholder in that community.
Yeah.
Every decision making process will be used, it will be involved.
And that's a basic community.
And that is why you see people getting to positions of power without not even knowing whether they are qualified for it or not, but because of the weakness of the system. And that is my point, that I was saying that the president, in the way advocacy has been done in this reform, he should go about it in, reforming our electoral process in that way, so that we can be able to have input analysis from different strata, so that we can be able to know what exactly is wrong with our election process, election management, election development. What is the way forward? Many of the things we are having as a challenge in this leadership process and leadership and governance is because of the level of electionary process is very poor, and they are leveraging on it to get those who are not supposed to be in leadership to be there, and then you expect them to get good results. No, you can't put somebody who did not go through the legitimate process and get a form for 10 million, 50 million, and you expect him to do the need for the people. No. First of all, he will be thinking of how to amass what he has given out, to do. Some people call it business. Election is. I bet to disagree. Election and leadership is about governance, for the people. How to bring dividend of democracy to the people. How to serve, not a business. But in Nigerian context, some people are calling this business election, and it is because the way it is fashioned had indicated that yes, it is business. In the first place, political office holder gets a heavy amount of money through a nomination, and the rest of them, and then you expect those technocrats, experts to come into politics to do what? To bring about 50 million, 30 million, 100, 1 billion for presidential election, for them to contest election, and then you don't expect them to get their money back. The present governor of Osun State, his uncle made one remark when he was being inaugurated as the governor. That's Governor Adeleke.
Yeah.
The uncle, he said, he's not a politician. He is not a politician, but he chose to help his younger brother to become a politician. He now went for that. He said, now Jackson Adeleke have supported you to become the governor. We can now have you there, irrespective of the fact that you are not owing anybody, you are not in allegiance with anybody, and then the money of Oshun people will remain with them, and then you can adjudicate it with the fear of God. That is good. So tell me, I saw a video recently where Oshun has become the capital of Oshogbo now. There is much of a third road, and then people are beginning to be happy, and then what do you expect from a governor who is not in allegiance with somebody, who is not collected, he has not collected money? I know for a fact a state I will not mention collected local government money to do election for that governor. And then today, when you go to that local government, nothing is happening in that local government. And the reason why you saw that the government, the president is being pleaded with to give them some few time, it is because they wanted to balance the sheet of their mess so that they can be able to put it in shape back and then transfer power to the local government people and elected officers, and then let them start their governance from there. So corruption is El Dorado here, and then we have it because of the crops of leaders we have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So still looking at the asset forfeiture, like I said earlier, it's supposed to, in a way, help to prevent or scare people from financial crimes. But do we really see it helping out? Because we are Nigerians, and I feel like Nigerians are one of those people that love to take a risk. So in as much as you tell them or you show them, okay, don't do this, there's still that thing in them that would still want to, because now a normal person who is already has his hands dipped in any financial crime would think of this and be like, oh, okay, should I or should I not? But again, I also want to look at it from another angle, because now the EFCC had actually come out to say that the reason why they have not exposed or revealed the name was because the investigation is still ongoing, and they had earlier also stated the fact that they are yet to get or find who owns the asset. We don't know how true that is. But you also said something about the fact that because of the BVN and all, everyone is scared to do bank transactions, and now it's more of just assets and all here and there. But isn't it unbelievable? Because this is Nigeria. Getting the land, you definitely bought it from someone, right? So isn't it unbelievable to say that you are finding it difficult to find the owner of a property when there should be so much that links to who owns that property?
Yeah. Thank you. Let me quickly answer this.
Okay.
Land in Abuja, in Lagos, is very. I'm a land person. I published a book on land.
Okay.
Has every data that should lead,
of course,
to getting the identifiable individual that is owning that land, including every of the transaction that is embedded in that land administration. I'm saying administration because any land of that magnitude must have the approval of the FCT minister.
of course.
A land of that magnitude should not go less than 5 hectares of land. If it is 53,000 square meters,
150,000 or so.
150,000. So we are talking about 50 square meters, because 50 hectares. An hectare is 6 plots. While acres is acres is 6 plots. Hectares is 6 plots. So if you multiply any of them to 52,000 square meters, you should be having about 80 hectares.
Probably
Even more. So we didn't do the calculation here. So why am I giving this illustration? It is because of the fact that hectares of that magnitude or acres of that magnitude must have the appendage of the Federal Capital Territory Minister, even if it is sold by the indigenous owner. That is the law. 1978 Land Use Act, 1978 Land Use Decree, that is transformed to Land Use Act, has given a very broad narrative and law how it should go, that every land belongs to federal government. So for you to get any status of that land, you must get a document of ownership from government. and it simplified it by saying local government has the right to issue what's it called, land ratification. A state has right to give you a CFO. The Federal Capital Territory under the president has the right, owns the land, is the one to give you a certificate of occupancy. Now, if you have a land of that magnitude, there's no way you can build that alone. People will come in partnership. Exactly. They must have a teamwork that would involve finance house, all those things. So, given that, you must be able to have a document in black and white to sit with any partners that want to do that business with, and even the approval. Let's leave the certification of the house. There's a need for approval to be given by FCDA, Federal Capital Development Authority, for that land to be developed to that extent. And then, if, as the time land I'm talking now, that if that land building development has gotten to that level and no any red mark to stay of build commencement of building or stay in prosecution of further development, and then 14 days given and then nobody comes, then all those transactions would have been done under the Federal Capital Territory Development Authority, FCDA, who has all the details of what would have transpired, the name, identifiable people involved, the connivance, the people that are part of it, and the authenticity of the land in terms of the certification should be done through verification, because part of the requirement to get any approval in Abuja and Lagos that I know very well is must have something to do with your CFO or your title document, and then your survey that must be in the archives of the Federal Capital Development Authority's GIS, their Geographic Information System. So all those data are imputed there. So the EFCC they are not wanting to tell what or who is involved. Okay. You know, because of the level of our leadership that Chinua Achebe has described, you know, that it is because of the crops of leaders. This crop of leaders Chinua Achebe is talking about is in every spheres of our society. So part of the challenges we're having is what we are seeing in leadership here, because I don't see reason why a court has already forfeited a magnitude of 52,000 square meters to EFCC, to government of Nigeria, and then we are unable to still have the identifiable person that is involved directly, who status has shown, he has allegiance, with the property. So the FCC and the social media, the social media agitators that are asking for the identifiable person, they are not wrong, because I don't see reason why somebody has forfeited his land, and then we in Nigeria will unable to know who is involved. I don't see reason why. Even the court should be able to know who is involved before giving that verdict of that judgment.
All right. So let's still not forget that EFCC has said the reason why the identity. So I'm guessing they probably know, because there's no way they would say they don't know. The reason is because investigation is still ongoing.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. Yeah. I agree with what he has said. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to go to that aspect of registration. Now, if we listen carefully to the report, they cite ethics on the procedure, they cited professionalism. They are not saying, they also mentioned title document. So I want to believe that the title document is with the commission. And they deliberately, if you knew investigation was ongoing on such massive illegal acquired property, why did you bring it to the public domain? Okay, it shows insincerity, there's no transparency. And we can cite instances where the Nigerian system appears to reward crime. We've had situations where somebody just moved up from a state to the Senate, and within the first tenure he has acquired a property of over 600 million in Lagos. The same senator was tried, sent to jail. They still went back to court again and say the court itself is the indicting itself and said that the judgment that the court delivered wasn't proper for certain reasons, and the senator was let go. We've had two other instances like that. So you see a system that does not support the fight for crime. You get it? So those who are even involved in fighting crime will not have the don't have that that boldness to say, oh, we are moving in one direction. Let me tell you one thing. if it was an Obasanjo administration that this thing was discovered, those guys would have been dancing naked on the street. Trust Ribadu. He will go to the house and drag them out because the debate during the Ribadu tenure in the FCC was, oh, he was not following legal procedure. And I told them, is it legal procedure to go and steal national wealth? What legal procedure are you guys talking about? What rule of law are you talking? A thief is a thief obeying the rule. So the one that is catching, why should you obey the rule when the thief didn't obey the rule? Now today, they will tell you, give you reasons, ethics, professionalism. Look at that massive wealth. I'm not saying that kind of wealth was stolen from government. Because we don't have the facts. Because we also have people who went outside government to either through fraud, Yahoo and all those things, acquired wealth, but they cannot, like I said, because that is where I can agree that BVI is working. They cannot want to deposit, so they keep pushing cash into property.
Let me
so the EFCC needs to come clean because what they are even doing now is going to discredit what they are, that job that they have performed. And Mr. President must come with clean hand and say this thing Nigerians must know because it's about him. After a few months, we'll be making reference to him. In the next 2 years, everybody will be like, oh, the Tinubu administration. Nobody talks about the EFCC anymore. So the president must start because this has come to the public space now. Then let's get the facts.
Let me quickly add to what editor have said. Okay. I remember he talks about the press release. Talk about ethics and professionalism. Okay, what is ethical there? Let us digest it, editor. In shielding somebody who has been, dislodged from his property. Do you know the process it takes to say we are going to be forfeiting a property? First, they must know the means to which he got that wealth. Once it is not verifiable, the court can hold it against him. It is in the law. Anybody under the law, if you have amassed any wealth and then you are unable to, your source of income is not justifiable, with what you say you have, any law enforcement agent can come against you and then get it to court and justify the reason why your property should be forfeited. The court will determine, one, what is your source of income? Is it commensurable with what you have? Number two, what is the person in terms of his profession and what he has in terms of what he has acquired before, and which position has he taken before? These are questions that must be asked. So what is the ethics in this that we are talking about that is not put into the table? Now, the professionalism we are talking about, what is different? What is the dichotomy between what we have seen and then the professionalism in it? I will tell you here that what they have done is unprofessional. Because if it is professional, we would be able to know. You should be able to make your findings known. Falano have said it many times that many of our security agencies, they don't do good investigation before prosecution. And the reason why they lose a lot of cases in the court, especially he was talking about the EFCC at that time. So we are talking about EFCC. This same EFCC brought out Desani, including his jewelries, mentioned her name, told Nigerians that this is what they've been able to recover, and then they took it to court, and then all those things were forfeited. Now Desani is fighting back. She's in court now, justifying why they must not forfeit our land and everything, houses, jewelries, including bra. We saw it in the page of the newspaper and a video being forfeited to, including a phone, earrings, and everything was taken. Now, we are able to identify the person. But do you know till today, she has never been convicted? But the EFCC then were able to tell us who owns this, who owns that, and then it was forfeited to federal government. So what is stopping this one? And then coining it with the word ethical and then professionalism. What is ethical? What is ethics here? And what is professional here? I am a member of many professions, and I know what professionalism should talk about when it comes to intelligence, when it comes to dignity, when it comes to transparency, where professionalism stands ethics of the practice in any I belong to the member of Nigerian Institute of Town Planning. I belong to Nigerian Environmental Society. I belong to Nigerian Union of Journalists. I have been in a lot of their meetings. I have done. Being ethical is trying to show that you have integrity in any conflicting issues that should stand you out. So what is unethical here?
All right. So in wrapping up now, I think one of the questions on many Nigerians' minds, all these forfeited assets, aside from this, there's been so much more earlier. What happens to them? Where do they go to? What do we eventually get to, make use of them with?
Yeah, I don't know if I should.
Okay,
Go ahead. No, we let him go.
Okay, it is there. The procedural formula is there. Once there was a time last year, I think, the money that was recovered from the EFCC, was sent to NEL fund. So there was a budget appropriation to that effect to show that this money being recovered from the EFCC is taken to the NEL fund, and then approval was given from the Senate, the National Assembly as well. So there are all those ones has a procedural movement and ways it should be done, and it has been done. So that should not have any issue. But the issue we are talking that is contextual here is not being able to tell us the identity of the person, whether it is politician that they are trying to shield. They should let us know, because we know who is synonymous with all those things.
Yeah, but again, I think that when they recover fund, and it's public fund, it should go back to the National Treasury from where it was being taken away from. All right? Now, when you recover property and you identify the property with certain individuals, who have the right of ownership, you return to those individuals. Because recently, the current EFC chairman was in Enugu to now hand over the recovered property of Enugu State to the governor. Okay? So we expect such practice to go ahead. But the commission must be very, very firm and decisive. And I will advise the current EFC chairman, don't play politics, let him not play politics with his job. You should go and look at how Ribadu dealt with these issues when he was EFC chairman. EFC was alive then. Since the Ribadu left, I don't think there's still EFC up to today.
Yes, I agree with him.